Justin Trudeau showing you still confused. I'm Brian Lilley with TheRebel.media. The Liberal leader went before the IAFF. That's the big firefighters union for firefighters across North America on Monday. It was here in Ottawa. They're having a convention, and he went before them and promised to repeal two pieces of legislation. One passed already, one going through the Senate, brought about by different Harper conservative backbenchers. He said he would repeal Bill C-525. That's the bill that gives anyone who wants to certify a union or decertify the union a right to a secret ballot, just like we have in elections for everything from city council to provincial legislature to parliament itself. But Trudeau says he'd repeal that one. He would also repeal Bill C-377 if and when it's passed. Now, why is this interesting? Well, it's interesting because this is the bill that would require labor unions in this country to report to their members and to the public any large-scale transactions. And it's interesting because the IAFF, while it represents Canadian firefighters, is based in the United States, and they have been following this sort of disclosure since 1959. It was brought in with the support of Democrats and Republicans. Even then Senator John F. Kennedy supported the legislation as a way to root out corruption in the labor movement so that union members and the public would have greater confidence in where all those union dues, forcibly taken from workers' paychecks, to know where they were going, because there had been documented cases of mob influence in unions. Now, where have we seen that before? Oh, right, Quebec, the Charbonneau Commission. And we can be sure that Quebec is not the only example across the country. But Trudeau went before the IAFF, which lives under these rules, and said he'll scrap them because they are anti-worker. Now, I went on the website out of the United States that the IAFF has to report to, and I found some interesting facts. Did you know that they gave $105,000 to the left-leaning Broadband Institute last year? What about just under $24,000 to the Canadian Labour Congress? And they gave $8,100 to the Ontario Liberal Party. These are the rules that the firefighters already live and work under. And yet Trudeau goes before them and says he'll scrap it. Is the IAFF a less effective union because they have to report to their actual workers, to the public as well, on how money is spent? Look, unions have a special place in our tax system, in our employment system. If you work in a unionized shop, you don't have a choice but to pay dues. And how that dues money is spent, you don't have a choice very much either. You can vote once in a while, but those votes don't account to a hill of beans compared to the power of the union bosses that decide how the money's spent. So how do you trace it? Well, you can't trace it very far, according to testimony heard in both the House of Commons committees and the Senate. So this legislation's needed, but Trudeau says he would scrap it. Bizarrely, he also says he would scrap the secret ballot. We've had the secret ballot in federal elections since the late 1800s. Why would we do away with it for certifying or decertifying a union? This is just a sop to the labor movement to try and get the union bosses to throw their support behind the Liberals instead of just supporting the NDP. Workers deserve real rights. They deserve a secret ballot. If they want to join a union, they want to decertify a union, they should be able to vote for it without fear of intimidation. And when they do have a union and they're paying those dues, well, that money should be freely accessible in terms of trying to find out where it went. It hasn't hurt the American labor movement. It won't hurt the Canadian labor movement. The reason the union bosses don't want it is they don't want the oversight.